Hi, Kami.
Hi.
Welcome back to Faith Speaks.
I'm glad to be back.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah. So, karibu sana. I thought, even though you've been here before,
Yes.
it would be nice for you to just introduce yourself to the audience. Maybe we might have people who are viewing you for the first time or haven't engaged with the content before. Just tell us a little bit about Kami.
So Kami is actually Mukami Kyonga, and I am married, a mother of 3, and I am a life coach for teenagers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, welcome back. Tell us why you're here today.
So I'm glad to be here because I get a platform to be able to share my testimony. I feel that sharing a testimony can always encourage someone and also to show people where God has removed me from. It's something I will always want to share. People sometimes can see you as you and think that you've always had it right. But there's somewhere God has removed me from, and I'm so happy that I can share that today.
Wow. Awesome. We're so glad to have you come and be so bold to be able to share your testimony. Your testimony is your story. No one can tell your story like you can tell it.
That's true.
So let's get right into it. We can start right at the beginning. Tell us about your childhood.
So my early childhood was actually, from my memories, a very happy childhood. It was based around the church. We were one of those families that we had to go to church on Sunday, and during the holidays, our holiday was already planned because we were going to go for VBS, which is Vacation Bible School. And we were one of those families that no matter what, even if we had visitors, we had to have Bible study every night. So that's the kind of home that I grew up in. A home where we lacked nothing. My parents did everything they could to provide everything we wanted and needed for us.
Sounds beautiful. I think the one question I have there is what happened? Because, I know you, so I've had this story before.
Yeah.
This is around the age 5, 6. Picture perfect family. Mommy and daddy are born again.
Yes.
Everything is working fine. Then you get to age 12.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what happened then.
So when I was 12, my parents separated, and it changed everything. Some of the changes were we stopped going to the church that we were going to. I've really never been sure why, but I think also it was the acceptance of divorce and all that. So my mother became the sole breadwinner of the sole provider of our home because we were we were staying with her, and it took a toll on her. I think she was so focused on that because now she was alone, and so we would stay with my mom primarily and then move to my dad during the holidays for a short time. I think for while I was in primary, my dad was still around, so we would stay with him during the holidays. It was a big change because even remember I told you we were doing Bible study, that stopped. Basically, the things we used to do, everything just came to a standstill, and we were just there, unsure of, first of all, what had happened. We had never seen my parents fighting. All of a sudden, they're not together. Nobody really explained it to us. We were just told, well, we're no longer going to be together, and we saw my dad leave. So even as a child, you're trying to come to terms with that. But also as parents, they were trying, I think, I can't say for sure, to get us on their side, each one on their side. So for a while, you can even forget that there was anything wrong with the separation because you're like, if you go to this home, it's gonna be good, especially my dad's home. You're getting what you want. My mom was still so strict. So personally, for me, amongst my sisters, I would always want to go to my father's house, and that's where I was most of the time. And my father lived in a serviced apartment, what I think would be considered a hotel apartment now, and it was well stocked. It had cable. I mean, we didn't have cable in my mom's house. My God, we had KTN, KBC. So he had cable. He had a well-stocked fridge, and a bar. So, and he worked for hotels. So that was, we never cooked. He would bring food from the hotel. We had a lot of freedom. Why? Because he was always working. So he was quite busy, and we'd only see him in the evenings and on weekends if we were to go somewhere. But basically, we were on our own. It's like living alone. Imagine at 12, 13. How awesome was that for us at that time?
I can imagine.
Oh my God, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
But that was the change that happened.
Wow. Okay. So primary school, parents have now split up.
Yes.
No explanation as to why. But at that age, I guess, trying to process living with mom, living with dad, you're figuring it out. It's not so bad, you know. Yeah. Then you get to high school. And there's another bit of your story there that is quite, I think, powerful and worth telling us about. So maybe tell us a little bit about what your high school years were like.
So before I even, just so that I can get into the high school story, while I was still in primary school, remember I told you there was so much freedom.
Correct.
In primary school, there were people who would circulate different kind of pornographic tapes. These are like hidden. And because my mother's house did not have freedom, I would take these tapes and I'll go watch them at my father's house. And that's when I was introduced to pornography. And because my father had cable, I could watch anything. And that time, there was no age restriction. It just tells you it's for 18, rated 18. But that's the only warning they give you. And I would be purposefully looking for those ones. You know, you see VSN. That's the one you're choosing for no good reason. And so I introduced myself to pornography, to masturbation, which came with that. How did I know that? Because I was watching that and seeing what people are doing, and being a curious teenager with nobody asking me anything, nobody checking what I'm doing. I was thriving in those habits. And because my father had a well-stocked bar, I started drinking. And he would never notice because they would come and restock. So he didn't even have any idea what it is that we were getting ourselves into, particularly me. And so I said these habits became habits. They became entrenched in me at a very young age. However, when I went to high school, I went to a boarding school. And you see now, I'm in boarding school. I no longer have access to watch what I want to watch. So for a while, for about 2 years, I was in a girls' boarding school. So it was forgotten for 2 years. I did not engage in anything. In fact, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even think about it because I didn't have access. However, I went to a mixed school for my 2 last years in high school. And because I was already exposed to this, I was exposed in a way that a teenager should never be exposed. So I knew things about relationships that I shouldn't know. I was busy there looking for boyfriends instead of reading. Oh my God. And so the boys liked me because I knew so much. And of course, I will not shy away from speaking what it is that I know, what I had watched, what I have access to. And so most of my focus was on that. In fact, I think I passed by God's grace. I passed high school. Hi, that's how you know God's hand is on your life. He really tries to work with your nonsense. But so I finished high school. So in high school, I had a boyfriend, and he really, because I used to talk so much, I used to have so much sexual content. He always wondered why we would not have sex. But no, I don't know if I mentioned earlier that when I was about 5 years old, I did get saved. When I was 5, I got born again at a very young age.
We missed that.
Yeah, I did. I got born again at a very, very young age. So even if I was doing all these things, it was in me. There was something in me that would tell me, there's a place you can't go. So this thing stuck by me no matter what I was doing. And so when he would insist, oh, let's have sex, let's do this, I'd be like, no. Like, this for me was ultimate sin. Like, I break my virginity, there's no way. But he was very persistent. and very manipulative to the point of, if you love me. And here I am. Nobody has ever talked to me about sex. Everything I've learned about it was what I have watched.
Wow.
So in my head, I started reasoning, okay, he's saying he's going to leave if I don't give it to him.
Yeah.
So I really felt pressured. But I was born again without having grown. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have I'm feeling like I'll be punished if I do this, but it wasn't really led by anything that anyone had come and advised me about. The only thing I know I had been told was, don't ever come to this house pregnant. And
Wow.
that was the sex education that I was given. So I lived in fear of having sex.
Wow.
However, because I always look for affirmation, be it in my father, be it in boys, I eventually did give in. And let me tell you, after that act, which was, I was like, is this really what I was waiting for?
Yeah.
I hated myself. I hated him. But it was once, and that was it. I hated him, I hated myself, and I felt I've committed the ultimate sin. There's no going back. Like, this is it. Now, even the little I had, that's why I was like, that means now I'm like the devil's child. That's how I was reasoning.
Wow.
Like, God cannot forgive this.
Yeah.
You know.
What age was this?
This was I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I decided, anyway, since now we have done this, let's keep going, because
it's over.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Might as well. This is the life I've put myself in. This is it was a downward spiral from there.
I hear you.
I finished high school. I had a bit of free time while I was working, so I had some money. And before I went into university, so I was out. I was clubbing. I was. Now the habits, remember the habits of masturbating and pornography, they came back, and now I had access. Now internet was a little bit there.
Yes.
It may not have been on the phones, but if I wanted to access it, I could.
Yes.
And I was now a bit older, so my mom also wasn't as strict. She was beginning to, like, okay, yes, you want to go out, you can go out, be back by this time. Yeah. And so I just continued engaging in these habits. Would I feel bad? Yes, I would. You see, masturbation and pornography brings a lot of shame. You do these things, you have an urge, you engage in these activities, but the way you feel after, you're like, hey, God, okay, I'm so sorry, help me, forgive me, help me, I won't do this again, 10 minutes later, you're back in this thing. Until you start to think, my God, what is wrong with me? Exactly. Like, and for me, I was like, this is what addiction is. This is how I learned what addiction is. It's beyond you.
Wow.
You want, even with my best intentions of, I am messing up, but I can't stop, and I can't tell anybody.
Wow.
Now I'm keeping all these secrets to myself. And what it does, it starts to bring out the worst in me. So I hate me. The people I'm picking are people to ensure that what I believe about myself is true. The wrong kind of boys. That's where I was hanging out with. And I didn't care. I reached a point, Faith, I didn't care. My mother would be like, don't do this. I'm like, do your worst. I don't care. If you find me like doing something, I don't care. I had thoughts of suicide. And I was like, maybe I'm so far gone. And, because we were raised in a Christian home, there was a lot of, you're going to hell. That was the message that was being preached then. You do something, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I'm already going to hell. That was the only thing that made me not kill myself. I was like,
you still need a chance
I'm too
somewhere.
young to go to hell. I was like, let me enjoy this life early.
Yeah.
If I go to hell, I go to hell because I'm bad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna say,
let me deserve my ticket to hell.
Let me deserve my ticket.
Let me earn it.
At such a young age.
Wow.
So when I was 18, which is just, all this is in a year.
Imagine.
All this is in
17 to 18.
Yeah.
All these things are happening.
All this is happening in a year. When I turned 18, I was now in university, my first year, and I got pregnant. The pregnant I'd been told,
Do not.
do not.
Yeah, anything else can happen, but don't bring a baby here.
My God. So I got pregnant, and I remember thinking, oh my God, I have to get rid of this. My mom, even in the new church that she was in, was actually quite well known. So I just knew this is about image. Oh my God, I've brought shame.
Yeah.
Because up until then, everything had been shame but secret.
Correct.
Nobody knew what I was doing.
Yes.
You don't even hear about it. I was very secretive.
Yes.
Very secretive. And I could hide it well. And then now imagine I had a baby face. So people would never even suspect that there is anything that I am doing.
Correct.
So I got pregnant. I thought, oh my God, I need to have an abortion. But I remember my mom had once said, if anybody in this house has an abortion, you're going to die there on that table.
My goodness.
So I was like, hey, am I going to die?
This death thing is still not happening to me.
This death thing, I'm too young to die. So I didn't have an abortion. I decided, you know what? I'm going to keep the baby. And I remember telling my mother that I was pregnant.
Yeah. Wow.
And
what was that like?
Her reaction.
Yes.
I expected her to be angry because this is something she had said. But my mother was so disappointed.
Oh, no.
She cried.
Oh no.
I think she cried for a week. I was asking, what did you do to my sisters? What did you do to mom? She locked herself and she cried and she kept saying, what did I do to deserve this? Like, I've raised these children in Christ. Okay, now I was very young. I didn't care what she was. I was like, why would she cry? She caught me off guard. I was like, my God, I was expecting anger so that I can also retaliate.
Yeah.
You were not even really there.
So the reaction is not even helping.
The reaction is not helping. So I started thinking, God, have I done something so bad? So I said, okay, I'm on my own now. My mom wasn't talking to me. My sisters were not talking to me. The few friends I had, okay, I didn't tell half of them. The ones who knew, very few stuck around. So I was basically on my own. It's only one neighbor of mine who was there. Like, I always remember him till today.
Wow.
He really was there for me. And it was tough because I was like, now I have a child. What am I going to do with this child that I'm bringing? And it's not the child's fault.
Exactly.
And I used to be so sad. I used to cry every night. Like, I've messed my life. And in those days, there was no coming back from pregnancy like this. It's like once you are branded a teen mom, that's the end.
Yeah.
Your life as you know it
is over.
is over. You're going to be useless in life. And I had never pictured that for myself. I've just entered uni. Like, I've not even enjoyed. So I used to be very sad. I used to cry all the time, every day, every night.
Wow.
And then one day, I was like sitting in my room and I was like, but is this my life? Like, and this child, because I was like, if I keep crying like this, what kind of child will I have?
Exactly.
With all this crying?
Yes.
And I remember I sat there and I was like, but God, in my head, I said, do you think God will still love me? Do you think I can still go back? That's what I asked myself. Can I still go back? And then I said, what do I have to lose? Because it's not like I was in any place.
Exactly.
So I did. I cried out to God that night. I said, God, I'm coming back to you. Like, I don't know what to do, but I think you can do something. Because in as much as I was not really going to church a lot had been put in me.
Correct.
I remembered stories of the prodigal son. Let me tell you, those things are in my mind.
Wow. Coming alive in this moment.
You think your children don't, but you remember. The prodigal son was worse. He used all his parents' money.
True. Squandered it.
And this father was waiting for him.
Yeah.
And we'd always been told that. So I said, I have those images of, Jesus carrying the lost sheep. I was like, no, God, I can't come back. I need you to take me back. And I said, if you do this and you help me, because one thing I haven't mentioned, the father of the baby
Correct.
was out. He was like out of the picture.
Like, once you told him.
Yes, he was out.
Did
so
not
I knew
want.
there's nobody.
Wow.
And I said, God, please be a father to this child.
Interesting.
And I knew I'll have a son.
Wow,
I
look
know
at
one told
that.
me even those days was nothing like checking.
The Holy Spirit was speaking
I
to
was like, I'm
you.
gonna have a son. And I
Yeah.
said, I want you to be the father to my son.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving you my child now. I know you can do it. I don't know what you'll do. Even if I've messed up, this child hasn't messed up.